there's no such thing as a perfect brokerage, right? There's no such thing as a perfect agent. I think a lot of brokerage in this town do a lot of things really, really well. I think what we do, it works really well. I think it's just a matter of trying to figure out what exactly you were missing and what brokerage solves that problem for you.
Hey, welcome back to the Real Estate Excellence Podcast. In just a few short years, this young, ambitious broker took a bold leap, launching a boutique franchise in Jacksonville Beach with nothing but vision, drive, and a hunger to build something exceptional. He didn't just grow it, he scaled it fast, from one shop to 5 across Northeast Florida, from a newcomer to a winning of the most prestigious brokerage award in the network, the Engel Völkers America's Cup, naming his team the 24 Shop of the Year, national recognition, elite recruiting, unmatched growth. But just when most would settle in and celebrate, he chose to make another bold move. Today you're going to hear why. Why he made the decision to leave it all behind and transition his entire brokerage, 5 shops, a full team of agents, into a new chapter under one of the world's most powerful luxury brands. This is the story behind the rise and shift and the vision of Corey Hasting and his brokerage game-changing move to Christie's International Real Estate First Coast. Corey, welcome to the show again.
Thanks for having me. It's always great to be here.
It's always great to hear. This is exciting news. This is, obviously, as people are learning about it across town, I'm sure it's the talk of what's going on. And I'm interested in, I'm sure you're going to put recruiting on overdrive again, because you're very good at it. And now you have a new flag.
Yeah, no, it's been amazing. Excited to tell the story today. I appreciate you having me on. It's always great. This is my 3rd time on the podcast. So a little different this time. Last time I was here back in May, this was in the works, but it wasn't finalized yet. But now we can really come and tell the whole story behind it.
So in May, did you think it was going to happen, or we're still like iffy, or what was it?
So we were here at the beginning of May. I think that it was probably a 70% chance it was going to go through. There was still a lot of things we had to work out, obviously. But we were able to obviously get to the finish line and obviously make the transition just last week.
Yeah. So I don't know, just the basic, some of the simple questions that I'm sure you get a lot of people ask for. Did they approach you? You approached them? How did this actually start? Conversation start?
So it's kind of a long story, to be honest with you. This whole entire process started about 18 months ago, to be honest. Engel Völkers, let me just start with this, that they were amazing, right? They gave a 27-year-old kid an opportunity that realistically he didn't deserve. There's very few franchises, especially a global franchise, that will sell a franchise in a huge territory to a 27-year-old kid, never been a broker before, never had experience before, whatever. So I am first and foremost extremely grateful for my time at Engel Völkers. They were an amazing platform for us. We accomplished some of the greatest things, in my professional career while we were there. But at the same time, as we saw real estate changing, as we saw innovation and technology really leading the charge, I started to become a little bit frustrated with the lack of innovation and the lack of technology and the lack of being able to expand into new markets. So backtrack about 18 months ago, a lot of these things are coming to fruition, and we're starting to have some of these issues where, well, why can't we come here? Or why can't this work? Or why can't we do this? And so, I'm a big firm believer that if we don't have what's best, or if I don't believe that we are the best in something, then I'm going to go and find out who is, or I'm going to go research what is, essentially. And I think that's what our process started. And so we started, I started talking to multiple different brands, because I wanted to know, number one, is what's out there, right? Because you just don't know what you don't know. But at the same time, I wanted to go and research, okay, well, if we're not the best in this category, then who is? And throughout this 18-month process, we started interviewing with multiple brands, doing all these things. And I approached Christie's, to be honest. And because obviously I've always knew the brand, didn't know necessarily that much, but I knew of the brand, obviously, with the auction house and a lot of other things as far as the luxury, brokerage, boutique. So, I met with them, and to be honest with you, I was absolutely blown away. My conversations with Christie started in November of 2024, and that's how long this process really took to iron out, because I knew the severity of making a change like this. I was telling people last week at our launch event, Real Trends Media named our brokerage 314th out of 88,000 brokerages. I
remember that.
In North America. So when you go through a change like this, there's extreme pressure, and all of our agents are looking for me and saying, why are we doing this? What does this mean? All of these things. And so you go through a process like this, and it's something that takes significant time, because number one, you want to make sure that every single obstacle that you think you're going to come across, there's a reason behind it. There's a solution behind it. And we did that. And through about 8 to 10 months of this transition, it was just one thing after another that Christie's checked a box for. Right. Yes, they have this, the best technology, the best branding. And so I'm very excited to show you that, or tell you a little bit about that today. But it's been a long time in the works for sure.
I mean, I think the wow that anyone looking at, because how many agents are right now are in your brokerage?
We have 138.
138 agents. You have multiple locations. You're doing some changes, but basically averages out to 5.
Yeah.
You'll get to settle that back down to 5 with your new corporate office. You got, obviously, the physical thing of changing over the offices, that's just money. Right. But 138 agents. I mean, did you lose anybody?
So that's what's also amazing about this process.
Yeah.
So whenever we were going through this conversion, there's this 80-20 rule, right? Anytime you convert companies, you want to keep 80% of your employees, of your agents, whatever. Mm-hmm. And throughout this entire process, we only lost one person. And so for us, and there was obviously reasons why, she left, which is fine. I support her.
Do you think it actually had to do with the change, or just?
No, I don't think it had anything to do with the change, to be honest. And what's best for her is what's best for her, and I have no problem whatsoever, and I still love her to death. But yeah, we only lost one person at 138. And, also on top of that, we have 14 full-time employees that came over, and nobody left and nobody transitioned. Now, the real work starts now, right? I mean, obviously we've transitioned and people are excited about doing this, but can we keep them, right? The work starts now. We've been telling our team that for the last few weeks is, yes, we can get through the transition. Yes, everybody likes the new shiny toys, but the next 60, 90 days are really what's going to keep this to fruition.
Right.
And that's where I think we're at now, and we're very, very excited about what the future holds and where we're going for it. And, I can't wait for other...
Because you can overwhelm people. The change, and I know from changing lenders, the technology, the process of how... loan officers are a little different from what happens at corporate after we hand the file in, but from a real estate standpoint. But the fact that your core employee, the 14 that really kind of hold things together, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Are bought into the move.
Yeah, no, I mean, so there's been some people who have known about this for about 4 months. There's been a core group of about 4 or 5 of us that have known from the very beginning, hey, this is what I'm thinking, this is what I'm believing in, this is why I want to do this. And those core people, we worked on this transition every single day for 4.5 months. And realistically, we didn't start telling our agents until about 30 days before the launch. Mm-hmm. And because you have to be very careful, right? You don't want it to leak. You don't want information out. Also, legally, you got to be very careful about what they do know, right? Mm-hmm. And on top of that, I wanted all of our agents to hear it from me. I thought that was really, really important, because I wanted them to hear the reasons why, the vision, what's in it for them, what's going to change for them, all of these things that go into a change like this. And so I've met with everyone in person, small groups, or phone call, or an email, every single person in like 2 weeks, 150 people. It almost killed me. But it was worth it. And, it was a lot of long hours, but it's so important for them to be a part of this transition, which I also think really helped with our retention rate. Because if I just send out an email and said, hey guys, tomorrow's a new day, we're going to transition, there'd be so many questions, and it would have gone terribly.
Well, how do you feel, because everyone I've had on the show, they have obviously a high respect for you and how you lead them. You're winning. Engel Völkers, your first coach was a winning franchise. Wasn't like you're in the dumpster and you're trying to jump to another ship.
Right.
You're in control. You're making the moves. But what was some of the reactions, concerns that some of the agents had?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, what was crazy about this whole entire process is I went into each interview or each conversation understanding that there's probably going to be some shock, probably going to be some awe, probably some not understanding as to why. But to be honest with you, it was the complete opposite. It was absolute excitement. And I think once people started to understand the who, which was Christie's, the why, which was we're going to get into in a few minutes, and then what the direction of the company was. Everybody was so on board and everybody was all in on it. And, because Christie's is an amazing, amazing brand, and everybody knows the brand either from the auction house or from the real estate or whatever it is, because there's really only two luxury brands in the entire world. There's Sotheby's and Christie's, because they're the only two companies who have auction houses on a global scale. And so with that, I was making sure that everybody understood that from Engel Völkers to Christie's, this is an extreme level up. And there's a lot of reasons for branding. There's a lot of reasons in technology, all of these things. And so for us, it was just a matter of getting that information to them and really getting them to understand it. And I think, part of the transition process is just a pure excitement from all of our agents, which has been great.
Yeah. Yeah, because I would just think that's your number one concern. You could talk about tech and all the stuff, but it really comes down to people, and the value of your move to Christie's and that whole part. But your value is the people that are going to follow you. And if you had 50% of your agents say, screw it, we're just going to go somewhere else. But it wasn't like Engel Völkers was staying. Engel Völkers now, someone could come in and buy that franchise, right, if they wanted to. But I just, again, talking to all of your agents that I've had on, you are the buy-in. You were Engel Völkers to them.
Thank you.
And obviously you'll Christie's moving forward. But let's go with that big question, the why.
Yeah. So just really quick to what you just said. What was funny about the whole thing is whenever I'm telling all of our agents and stuff, the first question that they really asked me was, well, you're going to be here, right? And I'm like, yes, I promise you, like, this is even going to probably have me more involved. Like, this is not a sale whatsoever. I'm still 100% owner. I'm still 100% of the brokerage and all of these things. I'm very, very involved in it. And so I think once they understood, they were like, okay, I'm in. But I think the biggest reasons why I really have felt, and this is not an indictment on Engel Völkers whatsoever. Like I said, they're an amazing product, amazing brokerage. But I had really felt for the last 18 months that we have really plateaued there. Because there comes a certain point in time where when you become a brokerage that's truly regional like we are, you need different support than just a mom and shop or one shop or two shop type of operation. I mean, when you start having 6 office locations that span over 900 square miles, you start having almost 150 agents doing $1 billion in sales, you need different level. And on top of that, I am always in a growth mode. I love the...
Give us an example of that, though. Give us. I can sort of imagine, but give us something like a challenge that you had at Engel, a service or whatever it was at Engel Völkers. Because you're talking about different price points, different needs for those agents over those different areas.
I'll equate to this. So whenever I opened Engel Völkers back in 2018, our number one obstacle was brand awareness. The closest Engel Völkers shop was 250 miles away. A lot of people couldn't pronounce the name. A lot of people didn't know what it was, a real estate company, whatever else. Fast forward 7 years later, that was still our number one obstacle. People still didn't know what we were, even though we've done a lot of really good things. We've achieved a lot of exciting goals, right, locally and nationally. People would still ask our customers, our clients, our agents, I'm sorry, who is that? Is that an insurance firm? Is that this, is that? And so that was always going to be our number one obstacle. And so that was something that I literally kept me up at night trying to overcome. How do we get over this? How do we do this? And that was one of the biggest transition points, is because, Christie's has probably the best name in real estate, but at the same time, if you don't know what it is, international real estate's in the name. So if we can already overcome our number one obstacle by just the brand, what can't we achieve? So that was one of the many things, obviously, but on top of that, I'm always in growth mode. I want to expand. I want to recruit. I want to grow, all of these things. And, Engel Völkers really didn't have any more territory for us. We couldn't go north into Georgia. We couldn't go south because there's already an owner in St. Augustine. And it really became this kind of like bottleneck where if we're not going to grow and we're not getting what we need, then what are we doing, right? And we were doing a lot of great things, and we still accomplished a lot of great things. But with Christie's, one of the best things about this is I'm going to own the entire Northeast Florida territory. So I own from St. Simons Island, Georgia, all the way to deep Flagler Beach. So that's multiple new markets that we now can expand to over the near future. We can obviously recruit more in those markets. And so for that, it just allows you to grow. And, my dad used to always tell me that if you're not growing, you're dying. In one way, shape, or form, right? In business, but also in life. And I believe by that, and I live by that. And so, we are already, I think, number 3 market share in all of St. Augustine without even having an office there. And we've tried to recruit there for a long time, and we've done a really good job, but without having a local presence in St. Augustine, it's very difficult to go after that market.
Yeah.
Well, now we have the opportunity to.
Yeah.
And so our number one focus on growth and expansion is getting in St. Augustine within the next 4 to 6 months.
Yeah.
Because that's such an untapped market for us, and it's also a very international market, which Christie International Real Estate is going to resonate with those people. And so that's going to be fantastic, but also expanding into Georgia. We have a ton of agents in our Amelia Island office who are dual licensed in Georgia and Florida. So getting into that market. So it just became this unwavering, why are we waiting to do this, right? And I think that's where it became over several months, and it just became a matter of how can we execute this the right way,
right? And
that's what we did.
Yeah. What are some of the things that are you seeing in the industry now? And I go back to, you made some statements early on about, things that you felt, needed or maybe need to be tweaked, whatever they were. Did the management at Engel Völkers, and not to blame, and again, not to put them out there, but I think you could see these in corporations or in brokerages, because I always talk about choosing the right brokerage, right? Of course. And it's so important for the agents to choose the right brokerage, but a broker who may be on top of his things now, like they were asking, are you going to stay?
Yeah.
Right? Are you is this a move and then you're going to get promoted and we're going to have somebody else in here? That was their concern. They wanted to continue to follow you because you're a mover and shaker and you're always looking, you're cutting edge and you got the energy. But some companies, brokerages, whatever, they just lose their luster. They, management moves on. Were there some changes like that kind of people were like, no, this is the way we've always done it kind of attitude started to come out?
Well, I don't know. I mean, so the way that Engel Völkers works is, obviously Engel Völkers Florida is separate than Engel Völkers Americas. I still have great relationships on a national scale at the Americas headquarters and also still in the Florida headquarters. And I just think it was time. We were there almost 8 years. We accomplished a lot of great things together. I would never be sitting here today making this transition without them. So I can't speak to different changes and this and that. I just think it was time. And I think, in life, sometimes you have these moments where you need to kind of move on, and change is a great thing. And I think that's where we're at. And I think change is going to be a great thing for our company and for me personally. I can tell you that I have more energy in the last 2 or 3 months than I've had in the last 2 years. And, I'm very motivated now, which we joke all the time is probably a bad thing for most people, but I absolutely am addicted to the work. And I think I just found this new energy on life and new energy on business. And I think that's, contagious, because I think success can do 2 things to you. And I always tell people this. Number one is it can make you kind of content because you've achieved success and you kind of get a little bit lazy, or it can make you strive for more success because you're addicted to the success.
Right.
And one of my biggest fears in life is becoming content.
Right.
And I think, not that we were there, but at the same time we were becoming comfortable because, we achieved X, Y, and Z and all these other things. Well, now we have to kind of start over in a way, but we have so much ability to grow, so much runway. And we have a kind of a joke with our team that this transition, we are truly going to take it to the moon, because that is really our biggest goal now. And that's where we want to go with this. And we're not doing this transition to stay the same. Right, we're doing this transition to grow. We're doing this transition to go from 1 billion to 1.5 billion. We're doing this to open new markets, to create new technology, new marketing, platforms. All of these things that's really going to help our agents grow and hopefully make their life easier. Yeah.
One of the topics you had is elevating luxury in Northeast Florida. Tell us about.
Yeah.
I think. A lot of agents want to get into it. They're like, what is luxury? Some say it's not the price point, it's the service. I disagree. Although I think everyone should be treated with great dignity and so forth. But obviously this was one of the topics you thought was important. Tell me about how Christie's and what your vision is there in elevating the luxury in Northeast Florida.
Yeah, so our brokerage in the last 4 years has either finished first or second in highest average sales price in the entire city from companies who have closed over 500 transactions or more. And we're doing this transition because I want to absolutely dominate the luxury space. I think Northeast Florida is in a position now where it's never been before with prices, and we're starting to see a lot of money come into Northeast Florida. You know, we're seeing $15 million sales in Atlantic Beach, $22 million sales in Ponte Vedra Beach, all of these things. And so there needs to be a dominant luxury brokerage, and I think we were kind of already that in a way with Engel Völkers, but now moving over to Christie's, where it's a brand identity that you know, exudes luxury with the auction house and just over on a global scale. It's ripe for the taking, and we are going to take it. And so we are going to position ourselves not only with our agents currently for other listings with marketing material and going after different people in that higher end thresholds or zip codes, but also in recruiting. You know, we want to recruit agents who live and work in the luxury space, which, like you said, every agent kind of wants to get into it, but it is very difficult. And in the luxury space, branding matters because exposure matters. And not every brand has the same exposure, and not every brand has the same marketing to get that exposure. Christie's, we are blessed to have the global platform, the relationship with the auction house, not only with the technology and the SEO for websites and all of these things, but we have some really, really exciting things for our local market too, which I can't wait to get into.
One of the things, the global reach, which you just were talking about, and it's on here and mixed in with the luxury.
Yeah.
There's talk about, you can say a lot of those things,
of course,
but is there the stats behind it? I imagine you dug in a little bit of that to see if there was a bang behind the flash or the flash behind the bang there.
Of course, yeah. I mean, look, everybody, you know, there's a lot of companies who say they're global. There's a lot of companies that say they're luxury, whatever else. All I know is that there's 2 companies who have auction houses in the world. And there's one company who the last 5 years is the #1 auction house in the world, and that's Christie's. They have 12 auction houses around the world, all different major cities you can think of. So whenever you're traveling or whenever you have high-end clients or whatever else, they know Christie's as a whole. And those customers want to work with a trusted advisor that knows, sells, and understands luxury. And that's where I think our positioning is going to be, not only Northeast Florida, but that's where the Christie's positioning is around the world. Right. So I was just in the south of France for my birthday 2 weeks ago. And, you know, I'm in Monaco, I'm in, you know, Saint-Tropez, I'm in Nice. Everywhere we go, there's Christie's on every on the corner. So it's like, you know, you're walking by the yacht show, you look over and there's a Christie's there. You're walking in Monaco, right next to the casino, there's a Christie's right there. So I mean, I didn't even know they're even there, but when you see it, it's like, okay, this makes sense. You know, this makes sense.
You see the yellow, you buy a yellow car, all of a sudden every car's yellow, right?
So that was really cool. And you know, but I just think, you know, any market that you're looking at, I mean, just let's take some markets close to us. Let's take Atlanta, for example. Atlanta, the Christie's there is Ansley. Ansley is the #1 market share for luxury. They have 500 agents, seven offices, and last year they did $4.1 billion in sales just in Atlanta. So if you look at feeder markets for us, you know, obviously Atlanta's a big feeder market for our Amelia Island office, but also Jacksonville as a whole. That right there itself is going to lead to so many referrals because they have #1 luxury market share in a huge city like Atlanta doing $4.1 billion. That's where we can then cross. Same exact thing for John R. Wood in South Florida. He owns from Key West all the way to Palm Beach. They have 26 offices. Last year they did $6 billion in sales. Like, those markets are just such a difference whenever you talk about comparison from brokerages to companies to whatever. And so that's where I'm really excited. I'm really excited to get into the network. I'm really excited to get referrals back and forth, but also just learn from people. You know, last year, if you look at Real Trends, last year with Engel Völkers, we would have finished first in brokerages as far as sales price or as far as sales volume. Christie's would have finished 9th. So we have people to learn from. We have other owners I can call up and say, hey, what do you...
It's being that 5th person in the room.
Exactly, I mean, because think about that. So we did almost $1 billion in sales. Atlanta and Ansley are 4 times what we are, which is insane, right? But they've all been where we are now. And, you know, so my biggest thing, and I've been, you know, calling them and meeting with them constantly and a couple other owners, how did you get from 1 billion to 2 billion? How did you get from 1 billion to 3 billion? What are some of the obstacles you faced? How did you guys recruit differently? Because there's no brokerage handbook, right? And I think that's the biggest thing people don't understand. Like, it's all learning from people who have been there before. And, you know, I loved my time at Engel Völkers, and I still have great relationships there. But I wanted to learn from people who that are at the $3, $4, $5, $6 billion numbers that I can call up and say, give me your number one or number two lessons that you wish you wouldn't have done, or that you wish you would have known to get you here and there.
Right.
And I think that is truly invaluable. And as a broker owner, there's no price for that, because it's impossible to get that information unless they're willing to give it.
Yeah. You mentioned a few minutes ago YouTube. You started a YouTube channel here. What is Christie's? And you mentioned SEO. That was kind of something that attracted you. Tell us a little about what you're doing there.
Yeah. So the biggest thing with this is, it's such a huge transition. So billion-dollar brokerages don't just transition, right? I mean, this is very, very rare for a company of our size. I mean, there's a lot of conversions of small companies and people doing this and that, but you don't have companies our size on a national scale converting to other companies. And so, when I was going through this whole process, there is truly 10,000 steps we had to go through, both legally and in the shops and signs and agents and all this stuff that people would never see. And so I wanted to build kind of a docu-series behind the scenes and launch a YouTube channel where our agents, but also other people, can just watch it, because it's fascinating in my opinion. And we just dropped our first episode yesterday on my YouTube channel. We're going to do 2 episodes.
What is the name of the YouTube channel?
It's just Corey Hasting.
Corey Hasting. Just on your personal page.
Okay. Just on it. We're going to drop 2 episodes a week for the next 5 weeks leading up to the launch, because there's just so much that goes into it that people never see. We joke that people see the end product, right? And they see the launch and they see the new signs, the new business cards, all of that, but they don't see the 10,000 hours that took to get there. They don't see how much time, energy, and effort that our admin staff and our managing broker Jimmy Lewis was putting into, and all of these things.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to bring you in and I want to show you it because it's fascinating, but also I wanted it for myself, right? This is probably the most important transition or decision of my entire professional career. So I wanted to document it, even if it's just for myself, and talk about, look what we were able to achieve, right? But I really think people are going to enjoy looking at it, because we give the inside scoop to a lot of things, a lot of conversations, a lot of headaches that came up throughout the process that you would just never know was there, because they see the final product and like, oh wow, this must have been easy.
I imagine you've probably already thought of this, but I could see, obviously condensing it down to a shorter form when you have all these things. When you're recruiting, your why and how much sweat and tears and stress that you put in to make this move, and obviously to talk about why all these agents followed you over there as part of that series. And I think as a little 5-minute highlight reel would be awesome.
No, I think once we have the content, which that's what we're getting now, you can really do everything with it. And we want to also, once we grow the channel, we want to highlight some of our marquee listings around Northeast Florida with our agents, having them show the property on a big channel. So we're going to use it for multifaceted. Right now we're just going to do the launch. We're going to bring everybody behind the scenes, but we're going to continue the channel throughout. We're going to use it a lot as our brokerage. We're going to use it a lot for a platform for our agents, and really just grow it. That way people around Northeast Florida, but also nationally, they can see what it's like to be a part of a billion-dollar brokerage, because there's only about 314 to 15 around the entire country that produce the way we do. So it's very unique, and I think people will like the perspective that we give.
You need to watch my episode from a few weeks ago with Katie Spaniak. She has 60-some thousand followers on her YouTube channel. She lives in Valencia. Very cool. Obviously she gets referrals from all around the country. Of course, her channel is just focused on sellers. But we don't use YouTube. Agents don't use YouTube enough, and they're not consistent enough on there, because that stuff will come. Obviously the big talk when an agent's moving from a brokerage to a brokerage, and obviously you're moving an entire 138 agents over. But something that you mentioned earlier, I think, that caught you was the technology and innovation of Christie's. Tell us a little bit about what caught your eye there.
Well, I just think in 2025 and beyond, there's a lot of core principles you have to have, right? As an agent, you have to have a working website. You have to have a website that whenever the seller Googles your address, you're one of the top 3 or 4 links on Google. You have to have SEO. You have to have a cutting-edge mobile app. You have to have all these things. And I'm not saying we didn't have those at EV. I didn't believe they were to the full potential as they should have been, we'll say. And with Christie's, it's completely different. We are now powered by luxury presence websites, which if anybody knows websites, it's the best money can buy in all of real estate. It is truly amazing, where All of our agents get their own subdomains, all of that. We're now, when the seller Googles their address, they're one of the top 3 links on Google. We can do SEO, we can do pay-per-click ads. It's incredible. But on top of that, we have our own branded luxury mobile app called First Coast Luxury, with all of our agents are going to get that as well. And it's just a cutting edge when it comes to exposure, but also marketing. Print marketing is not dead. If anything, it is alive and thriving. And so you have to have great marketing pieces, especially in the luxury bracket, where when they walk in, they can see that it feels luxury. They can see that it feels different. And we're just going to go from a brand that was very templated, we'll say, to a brand that has a lot more freedom. And that gives a lot more freedom for the agents. It gives them more variety so that not everybody always looks the same. But also everything is approved, a couple different color choices, those type of things. And so I can't wait for everybody to see it. But I think our agents are really, really excited about just not only the technology, but the marketing and just kind of combining it together.
That was one of the things that someone I know closely when talking about, I was recommending that for them to talk to you.
Yeah.
They weren't a fan of the EV's marketing.
I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's something we faced, right? I mean, it served its purpose. And, I think whenever something's template like that, I think it works in certain varieties. And we talked about earlier about how I felt like we outgrew the brand a little bit. That was one of the ways that I thought we did. And it's no knock on them, right? It's worked since 1977. It works really, really well. But we do need some variety in 2025, 2026 as we move forward. We do need different templates with different marketing platforms, but also just things that agents don't even know they're out there. Agent brand books and agent join us books, and being able to talk about market insights, and being able to have mailers that are all different sizes, all different trifolds. Like, just having stuff that agents like, wow, I didn't even know we had this. Right. That's what Christie says. And
so if I'm hearing you correctly, and agents who might be listening to this right now and might say, hey, we need, talk to Corey about Christie's, but it sounds like you have the ability, you have the brand, Christie's, but you also have the ability to brand yourself within the brand.
Within the brand, absolutely. And don't get me wrong, like, it's not like we're a free-for-all. There's no, pink and gray templates, right? Everything is still structured, but at the same time, you have more variety of the structure. And I think that's really important because, when you go to the Cheesecake Factory and you look at the menu, sometimes you get overwhelmed because there's too many things to choose from. We want to make sure that we're going to cut that down. So instead of you selecting from 100 things, there's 20, but it's still more variety than you've ever had before. And everything is approved, everything is beautiful, everything is built for you. But yes, there is some customization now that you have as the agent that really, in my opinion, no other brokerage has, because you combine the really luxury marketing we have, the great technology we have, but also just the brand name and luxury space. We're really excited to get started and, spread the word. And, I think the market is also excited. I mean, some people have been reaching out and commenting, and a lot of our agents have been getting calls from other agents and stuff. So I think everybody's excited. And I think, I can't wait to see what the next 3 to 4 months look like for us. And yeah, sky's the limit for sure.
All right. So you told me a little earlier you're doing some rearranging of the locations, and you're opening an actual headquarters office.
Yep. So we're super excited. I mean, we're in the process of closing our Jacksonville Beach office and our satellite Neptune Beach office and condensing those into a brand new headquarter office in the heart of Atlantic Beach. If those of you who are listening or watching,
it's going to still give a retail front, or?
Yeah, it is. So it's right behind Coop 303 in the brand new building. It's got a Lease Med Spa, ATP headquarters tour. It's got the Grand Bar there now, a couple other things. So we were just over there yesterday. It's coming together. We're probably 30 days out, I'd say. So the goal is to be in there before November 1st, but we're really excited. I think, right now we're either number 2 or number 3 market share of all of Atlantic Beach. And we believe that getting over to Atlantic Beach, having our headquarter office there, is really going to increase our market share there, because we already have a lot of agents who live and work there. But now we have that space. I think it's going to be really cool. And I think it's going to be great for us.
Expansion. You mentioned all the way down the Flagler.
Yeah.
But the old city is your focus.
It is. So, like I said before, we have a lot of agents who already live and work in St. Augustine. We're already, one of the top market share companies there. So our focus is trying to get a space that makes the most sense. Obviously St. Augustine is a little unique, right? You have the old town and the downtown market. So you kind of have to decide, do you want to be there and kind of give up parking in a way? Or do you want to be at the beach side or whatever makes sense? So
Right.
we're in the process now. We're going to find a great location. We're not in a rush, but at the same time, we want to make it work. And we've already had a lot of agents who have reached out to us because we've never really recruited that area much before because we weren't really allowed and all these other things. We've already had several St. Augustine agents reach out to us privately and say, when are you opening? Or
Right.
what do you got? What's your plans here?
Right.
And so I'm excited for that. And, there's a lot of companies who have strong St. Augustine offices that, fit really well with who we are. So, we'll see. My goal is to have...
I'm really curious because I know some agents and some of them have been on the show that are in that St. Augustine Beach area because there's some dollar amounts going up there.
There is. I mean, it's a big market. And for us, it's an untapped market. And I think that's what makes it really exciting. So our goal is to have something there on or before the end of 2020 or the end of quarter 2 in 2026.
Right.
Obviously, things have to align. We're not going to rush it, but we believe we're going to be able to find something that's going to fit. And I think people are going to be really excited about it. And I think it's going to really just unify our whole entire region because that's also one of the biggest reasons why we're doing this. I wanted one vision, one region, one culture, one company. And that was really, really big for us. And we did a great job doing that with Engel Völkers, but we were so bottlenecked and we couldn't grow here, couldn't grow there. And so we're going to continue that. And we're going to have the same company culture, the same agent culture, and just beginning to open new markets. And I think there's going to be a lot of cross referrals from agents from Amelia Island to St. Augustine or Jacksonville to St. Augustine or whatever else, because believe it or not every agent works every market. But for us, I think it's going to be really, really strong. Yeah. And I think that's what we're looking forward to.
I would imagine the greater Palm Coast, the Flagler County is another...
It potentially could be, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, my whole thing is, I love the Ryan Serhant saying expansion and always, right? whatever makes sense, we're going to do. And that's always been kind of our motto. So, if we can get a big team or a big market or a developer or whatever else in those markets, we'll definitely go after it.
Do you see yourself going a little further north to the Georgia line? You said St. Simon's Island is your
for sure.
north.
Yeah, I mean, probably the end of 2026, we'll start focusing on St. Simon's, if not before. St. Simon's is an absolutely beautiful area. I mean, it has Sea Island there, which is the only 5-star resort in the entire state of Georgia. But also, there's a lot of cross, sales between St. Simon's and Amelia Island, or St. Simon's and Atlanta, or whatever else it may be. So it's great. I mean, I think it's really, really going to do well for us. And it's just a matter of getting everything. Like right now, we are in the process of building the foundation of the house. Right, we want to make sure that we have everything in set. We have all the support systems, everything that the agents need right now, and then we can start building the walls and we can start putting the drywall up and doing all those things. And that's kind of what our plan is over the next 3 to 4 months.
For those agents who are not on Christie's roster yet, what do you say to them? And because obviously you are... one of the other things is every agent I've had has said, why did you sign up with Corey? And it's because Corey, and you prep yourself really well for the interviews from what I understand. I imagine you have some sort of recruiting goal. I imagine that's kind of your business plan here as your launch with Christie's. Yeah,
I mean, our goal is we want to get to 1.5 billion, right? We want to get from 1 billion to 1.5 in a year, 18 months, whatever it takes. And we don't necessarily always care about agent count. We care about agent production. We're never going to lose sight of that. So I mean, if agents are out there, and I don't want to solicit by any chance, but if agents are out there and they're interested in hearing more, I mean, obviously you can reach out to me on social media, or you can. A lot of people obviously have my phone number or know an agent that works for us. We can always connect a meeting. But it's going to be exciting, and I think we're going to make headwaves when it comes to recruiting. I mean, we already were with Engel Völkers, and so it's just exciting at times for our entire team, exciting times for our agents, because there's been so many agents who have called me or texted me over the last week since we've launched, where it's success stories from their seller or from their buyer, or maybe one of their clients saw one of our new signs go up around town and they've said, oh my gosh, congratulations, I know Christie's from Connecticut, or I knew Christie's from South Florida, or whatever, right? And so I think our team is really excited about it. And I keep using that word because it's just an exciting time. There's so many things that went into this. And also, I believe that we're the biggest conversion in Christie's International Real Estate Company history. So that came with a lot of pressure, right? Because we want to make it run right. But also, it came with so much support. Christie's gave us so much, and their entire team has been absolutely terrific. I mean, Thad Wong, the CEO, was down here all last week for our launch. Their president, Gavin Schwartzman, he was down here all last week. All their support staff being at the launch, doing hands-on training the days after. And they made it feel like we were important, which I can't even stress to you how much that means to me. Because it's not every company that does that. And it comes to the culture, it comes to the leadership, but also I think it comes to the appreciation of who their client is, which is all of us. And I think a great leader understands who their client is from their very beginning. Just like, my client are all my agents. I'm here to problem solve for them. I'm here to give them solutions. I'm here to help their business whatever way they can. Thad Wong and Christie's leadership understands that their client is myself. And they're here to problem solve for me. They're here to give me resources. They're here to help me grow and help my business whatever way I need. And I'm just super excited to have that partnership with them and be able to grow together.
You mentioned something there, and I heard in just talk this week, and you reminded me, but it's not something I've never heard before, and that's the importance of we talk about real estate agents, and a lot of times we like to think, and then you've got some great ones that they would be successful no matter what, but
right.
To get a little attention from those people, maybe they hear about or they see on their computer, make a video or something or write an article or whatever it may be, but they actually showed up and spent days here. They weren't in town for a couple hours. You had an event, they spoke, and they left. They actually were here. And how much that actually means. It meant a lot to you, but it meant a lot to the agents, I bet, on your team.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, very rarely do CEOs of companies Christie size fly in for a launch, especially on a Wednesday morning, when the president comes and the head of affiliate services and all of these things. That's very rare. That's very rare. And I just need people to understand that. And I also think that our agents and advisors appreciated that because they know it's rare. And, I very much value Thad's time, Gavin's time, the entire Christie's team. So it meant a lot. And, it just shows that, we're in a true partnership with them and they want us to succeed just like I want to succeed. And I think for that creates this level of trust, creates this level of knowing that they're in the foxhole with us, right? And for that, I think it's going to be a great partnership, and I can't wait to see what the future holds for us together.
Well, it just, I imagine there is a level of stress. You've obviously gone through, but even your lowest producing agents going through stress. They're got to rebrand themselves, or there's just that thing like, well, why did you leave Engel Völkers? Right, that's a question they're going to get at the cocktail party.
Of course.
So they got to explain that, and although I think there's a great explanation, and obviously we talked about a lot of it here, but that's a stress to everybody. So having those people there at the time of transition to field their calls or field their talk to them, be in the room, and imagine the technology changeover. Give me 2 or 3 things. Again, if the agents that are listening right now might be going, what's all this about Christie's luxury? Because they all want to sell the higher price points and all that kind of stuff. What's 2 or 3 things that you think that if you're recruiting right now, someone who doesn't know anything particularly about Christie's other than their brand, right? That you think are on the cutting edge that they need to know, that if you're selling Christie's to somebody, this is a team you need to join. What are 2 or 3 things that you would mention?
Well, I think the biggest thing is you have to understand the agent who you're recruiting, what they believe their business is lacking, right? Is it, they're at a boutique firm and they're looking to increase their price point and they don't really have a brand they can leverage right now. Well, for us, that's very easy. You're going to have the best brand in the entire world behind you, supporting you, and being able to leverage it through all of our marketing, our technology, our global exposure, our listing enhancements, etc. If it's, hey, I'm at a company who maybe isn't tech forward, well, no problem. We have the best websites. We have the best cutting edge technology when it comes to branded mobile apps for you and your clients, your best CRM, all of these things that can combine it. So I think, and some agents are just, hey, I need better marketing, or I need better support, or I need better whatever, because I don't have time to do it myself. Well, we have 14 full-time employees. We have a full marketing staff that run everything for you. We have 3 in-house transaction coordinators that we run all of your business and transactions with. So my goal has always been, if you're a top producing agent, you don't need to learn real estate. You need more time. So I've always been I think we do really well is we create time for our agents and advisors. We're going to handle all of your marketing in-house so that you don't have to spend 3 hours building an open house flyer. We're going to handle all of your transactions in-house so that you don't have to stay up till 10 p.m. at night trying to get that disclosure signed. We're going to be able to put you more places so that you can do money producing activities more. Because top agents, like I said, they don't need to learn real estate. Yes, they may need a contract change here or there. Maybe they need to understand the NAR stuff a little bit better, whatever, which we're going to do that as well through our training. But they just need systems. They need to be more productive. They need to be more the ability to problem solve without knowing what the problem technically is, right? And I think that's what we do really well. And I think we've always done that well as an organization. But now aligning with Christie's, with the best technology, the marketing, and all of these things, it's going to take those to new heights. So I think if agents are out there, my first question would be, what do you think you're lacking? Because sometimes it's the agent, right? They don't want to hear it, but it is. Sometimes it's the brokerage. Sometimes it's a mixture of both, whatever else. But the thing is look, there's no such thing as a perfect brokerage, right? There's no such thing as a perfect agent. I think a lot of brokerage in this town do a lot of things really, really well. I think what we do, it works really well. I think it's just a matter of trying to figure out what exactly you were missing and what brokerage solves that problem for you.
Yeah. Many, well, I wouldn't say many believe. Some people that I think are credible in the space, and I think you're in this category as well. You know, that agent right now that's sub 10 million, 7 to 10 million in our region. You know, they're doing good, but they're maxed out. They hit that lid. Many believe the next, making a move could get you to that 14, 15, $16 million range and so forth. And I would imagine if an agent in that category right now that's, hitting that lid, what are you saying to them? What would Christie's bring them so you could take them from that 7 to 10 million to hopefully 15 to 20 million?
Yeah. Typically, whenever agents are at that cusp and they don't have any help or do anything on their own, like they do everything on their own, they are maxed out. They don't have time to do more business. They don't have time to do anything. And so when I meet with agents like that, which we do a lot of, it's all about maximizing what can we take off your plate and what can the brokerage do for you. So we talked about our in-house marketing team. We talked about our in-house transaction coordination. We talked about technology where we can build you systems to where your database can now hear from you 40 times a year without you having to do anything. It's automation through systems and also understanding what systems are out there while piecing that with a global luxury brand that works with you, not against you. So I think it just depends on, once again, it goes back to the recruiting thing I talked about. What do you believe your business is missing? 99.9% of agents who are at that $10 million and want to grow, it's all about time. Because they have the connections, they have the business, they understand how to work it, but there's not enough hours in the day because they're also moms, husbands, wives, girlfriends, boyfriends. There are all these things that we also have to have, which is called life, right? And that's usually the number one thing that real estate agents sacrifice is the loved ones at home because they're working when other people are off work, which is nights, weekends, all these things. But if we can automate some of that so that your business is working for you, not against you, it becomes a very enjoyable time. And what I love is our averages in 2024 per advisor were about $8.8 million in sales volume and over 14 closed transactions a year, which is by far the highest in the city. And I think we attract top producers because we have that structure that is built for the top producer. Not every brokerage, has that. There's a big difference of type of broker that a new agent needs and a top producer needs. And everything that we do is built for the top producer. That's why we have the volume threshold of 3 million for you to join us. That's why we only take full-time agents on board because, you just don't know what you don't know, right? And the top agent needs more support, needs more systems, needs more ability to streamline their business. They don't need to go to real estate 101. Like they understand the purchase and sale agreement. They understand the different changes and all of that. That's not my job. I mean, yes, we do some of that through continuing education, but my job is to maximize their time. And I think that's what we do really, really well.
Give me, or the audience really, not me, I'd like to hear it too. You're dealing with some of the best agents in Northeast Florida. Yeah. And I had a reel recently, do well. Can't say I haven't had one go viral, like millions of views or anything. But it was talking about don't focus on the split. Focus on the deliverables.
Of course.
What the brokerage, what you're going to do. We have, I think, a lot of teams out there, or people who are trying to create teams.
Yeah.
And they're not, they'll get 2 or 3 agents, kind of followers, but they're good agents. But what can you and Christie's bring to someone who may have a group of 3 or 4 agents and help that little team really grow and reach their potentials?
Yeah. I mean, the number one thing that real estate agents, I think where they go wrong is they chase splits, because splits don't always mean value, and splits don't always mean, return on investment, we'll say. Obviously there's a lot of 100% brokerages out there. There's a lot of capping brokerages out there that do things well, and that's fine. But for us, we want to maximize what can we take off your plate? What value can we give your business so that you can grow your business? Because at the same time, let's say that you're a $5 million producer and you're at a capping model or whatever else. If we can grow your business from 5 million to 8 million, then isn't that a good thing, right? You're making more money even though you're not at a capping place. So, and that's the whole entire goal. Like 89% of our advisors increase their production within the first 6 months of being a part of our firm. And people always ask me, well, why? And it's like, well, there's 100 reasons why. Because every agent needs something different. It could be more technology and you want more lead flow. It could be better marketing because you need to take it off your plate. Could be more support, coaching, accountability, whatever. And I think that's what we do really well, is we can kind of take any agent, any need, and provide them with a solution that really helps their business grow. Because we have about 138 agents. All of them have different needs. All of them have different wants, but also all of them have different goals. Believe it or not every agent wants to be a $25 million producer, and that's fine, right? But we can change and we can adapt based off what they want by giving them what they need. And I think brokerages sometimes lose sight in that, because for the longest time, I tell our team all the time that they can work at any brokerage in the entire city, but while they're with us, we are going to do everything in our power to give them the best resources, the best marketing, the best technology. And at the core of that, that's the reason why we moved. Because I felt that we weren't at that anymore. And I never wanted to give them a reason to have that very difficult conversation to me and say, Corey, I love you, but, or why isn't this working the way that it's supposed to be? And so at the core of this transition, that is the methodology of it. And that is the reason. It's for our agents. And I've told every single one of them that without them, there is no me, there is no Christie's, there is no nothing. And so we will never lose sight of that. And I think they really resonate with that. And I think everybody who works with us hopefully can feel that appreciation that our brokerage has for them.
Mm-hmm. I think you would agree with this as well, but I want your comment on it in evaluating. I see the many agents around Northeast Florida, which we're just a microcosm of the country, or real estate in general. And you can have all this technology.
Yeah.
And you can be bought into that in a very low split. And like, man, look at all this tech. But just like social media can take up your entire life, sitting there watching reels all day and never get anything done.
Yeah.
I think there's a group of agents out there that you get overwhelmed by the technology, and there's some of these companies that have some great technology.
Of course.
But if you don't have someone helping you utilize that, or you're not, maybe there's one thing that you could maximize yourself, and you spend an hour a day, and it maximizes so you could spend the front forwarding FaceTime, because that's really what it comes down to. You got the Christie's brand, you got great technology, you got a staff in-house to help you use this technology to maximize it. But ultimately, what's it doing for Holly and Tiffany and Debbie and all those others that you have? It's giving them more time to spend with their clients, quality time, quality conversations.
Exactly. And, we talk all the time that my job is to make our advisors 2 places at once, which it's very difficult to do. But if we can strive to make them 2 places at once by handling their marketing, handling their transactions, handling a lot of the things that they spend time away from clients doing, then they're going to be happier because they're going to be closing more business. Top agents, like I said before, don't need to learn real estate. They just need more time to network. They need more time to go on buyer consultations, go on listing presentations, and they need things done for them. Like when they come by the office, they want a listing presentation printed and customized for them. Our team builds it, boom, done. They're in there 5 minutes and it's gone. Mm-hmm. Some people don't even have a listing presentation, let alone built for them, customized for them, binded for them, etc. So it's just a different level. And that's what I talked about before. Like, every agent has different problems. It's, do they actually search to find the solution to those problems, or do they find the solution on, let's say, splits, when in reality their issue is not a split problem. It's how can we maximize and grow your business problem.
Right.
And I just think different agents value different things, and which is fine, obviously, right? But like you said, it's a microcosm of the United States and just our real estate industry as a whole.
Yeah, Angela Walker described it really well. Being a more seasoned agent in her years and so forth, she didn't want to, having to change companies and the technology things that you do, and every time you change whether it's a brokerage or corporate America or whatever, they do things different. And I know she felt, boom, she plugged in. She's get a transaction coordinator, which you're providing that for her, because she didn't want to have to spend the time away from her clients to learn this stuff again where she was at in her career. Yeah. She was just ready to plug in and continue doing what Angela does best, and that's be forward facing.
Yeah, and so what we call it in our office is we are extreme white glove service. And because in brokerages, there's kind of two models. There's the capping, the 100%, the virtual model, or the white glove full service brokerage. And I think where a lot of brokerages, not just here but nationally, go wrong is they really don't know what category they're in. They're trying to be a little bit of both or whatever. We understand, and we are full-fledged into the full white glove full service brokerage, and we never deviate from it. And so there's a lot of things that we give of value that some agents may not see as value. It's important to them in other ways, whatever else. But to our agents, what we offer, it's special. And I think that's why we're able to retain, 138 of our agents through this transition, because the biggest thing, like I talked about, is, Corey, are you leaving? Is our marketing team going to be here? Is our shop staff going to be here?
Right.
Okay, then I'm in, right? Okay, tell me more, right? And so it's because they wanted to make sure that the core foundations of their business, of, what they joined a year ago, 5 years ago, some even 8 years ago now, which is insane, is still going to be there. But now it's just going to be enhanced. And I think we're very excited to kind of get started in that. A lot of our team is, already in the training process, already doing a lot of that. But also, I want to give Christie's a shout out too. Not only were the CEO and all of them there at the launch, they also stayed for 2 full days after and led corporate trainings in-house, in person, to all of our team. And we also have trainings almost every single week for the next few months, looking at the new products, the CRM platform, the CMA platform, all of these things, because we don't want to just throw everything at one person at one time. This is not a throw spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks industry, especially not whenever it's talking about top producers and their business and all of that. So we have a very strong methodology of how we're going to roll things out, what's coming in the next few months, and really building the foundation so the agents understand it. You use the word technology, right? Technology is a great thing, but if you don't know how to use it or where to find it, then it's irrelevant. And I can sit up here and I can say we have the best technology of X, Y, and Z, but if we don't have any training programs, or we don't have any academies online, or we don't have anywhere for people to find anything, then what's the point of even having it? And so I think Christie's is doing a great job rolling it out, but also our team is being trained on everything. We're having small groups, we're having small, mentorship programs inside of our company to make sure that everybody feels comfortable. Because listen, some agents, we have one end of the spectrum that don't even know how to copy and paste on their computer, right? Other people are, hey, can I have the Wi-Fi, or can I have my coding email for my website, right? And we can build everything in between. And so if you're a sprinter, let's let you sprint. If you need to crawl, we'll crawl with you. And I think we're doing a really good job at that throughout the rollout, just one weekend, and we're going to continue to do that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I see you're excited. I think your group is excited. I see all their posts. Everyone was obviously hitting up their LinkedIn, changing their colors, putting a new jersey on, right? You got to put a new jersey on. Anything you'd like to add? I mean, we covered. I mean, we had a whole list here. We went through it all. Is anything you think we might have missed?
I don't think so. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of information out there. More information is going to come in the next 2-3 months as far as what we're doing, and a lot of different special programs. I would just encourage, if there's anybody who has any questions or want to find out more or whatever else, obviously you can contact myself directly, contact one of our agents in our office. We'd love to meet with you, love to talk to you about it. But we're definitely in the process now of getting the word out there, and we're doing this with intention. Our intention is to dominate the luxury space, grow the Christie's brand here locally. So we're very, very excited about that, and I can't wait to continue to roll this out.
Corey, I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
This may be it for today's episode of Real Estate Excellence, but we both know your pursuit of excellence doesn't stop here. To connect with the best of the best and really take your skills to the next level, join our community by visiting TracyHayesPodcast.com, where you'll meet more like-minded individuals looking to expand their inner circle and their personal experience. That's available at TracyHayesPodcast.com.